is it going 0, 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so here we are at this dry farming experiment. Which neighborhood are we in again, Jim?
Santa Clara.
The Santa Clara neighborhood. And we've never done anything like this before. And this essentially is the first time I've been in here in a month or two, maybe even?
More than a month.
More than a month. And so what we're basically doing is finding out what the results of our investigation experiment have been. It's very interesting. Couple of things to note. A, weed pressure has been almost like non-existent this whole way along. I haven't been in here to weed because there's been no need to weed. The one thing we haven't got to in the potatoes was mulching. We just planted them in the ground underneath a layer of sawdust and walked away, and we didn't come back in and mulch, which has played a factor. That said, check this out. This is the first row of potatoes that we basically dug up. These are the Yukon Golds. And I don't know if you can come in close here, Jim?
Yes, I think I can.
Okay, so the challenge we had is that we didn't mulch. Okay, so some of the potatoes that were close to the surface demonstrated the classic browning, greening, and softening. You can see that. That's what these are here. These were potatoes that were close to the surface that weren't covered by mulch. Nothing unusual there. But literally just under the surface of the sawdust, we have these spectacular potatoes. I mean, look at that. You don't even need to wash it. It's absolutely gorgeous. Perfect. Totally unblemished. Very easy to get out. Now, when we began digging these things, never having done this before, it's like, okay, let's dig them out the way you traditionally dig potatoes out. So you're getting in and pulling it all up. Now, the challenge here is that it's not a traditional sort of growing culture. We've got the sawdust on the top of the ground, and generally you want to avoid turning sawdust. Wow, old timers do crazy stuff all the time they tell me about, but I've been taught, and I generally follow the regimen, that you keep the wood and the wood chips and the sawdust on top of the soil, and you let the sort of the worms and so forth, the microbiota, break it down and bring it down. So as we were beginning to get into this to dig, I was like, look what we're doing. We're basically turning everything upside down. So I got to about here, and I thought, all right, well, let's try a different approach. Instead of that, let's just try moving the sawdust off the top of the surface and exposing the potatoes. And that's how we did the rest of this bed, just basically doing it that way. Let's try it over here. This is the final row of half row of Yukon Gold. I just got in here a moment ago. I'm pulling it up like this and brushing it away like this, keeping the sawdust on the surface of the soil rather than getting in. Here's some more. Look at this. Look at this. Look at these. Absolutely spectacular potatoes. And then, I mean, we'll turn off in a few seconds and go on and do a bit more. But one of the things to keep in mind is that this plot here hasn't been watered or rained on since 2 winters ago. Not only is this a dry farming experiment, but we're dry farming into a plot that saw no water.
1 winter.
Well, we went over one winter to the previous winter.
Right.
Yeah. And then here we come up again. What's happening up here? Just moving it out of the way. You can see how easy it is. Look at that.
That is too cool.
Isn't that too cool? Yeah. Wow, check it out. And then some of these potatoes are enormous. Look at this, look at this, look at this. It's amazing. Look what, fascinating. All right, whoa, look at this. It just keeps on going and going.
Mark, you're right.
Yeah.
You knew more about what was happening with the potatoes than I did.
Yeah, okay, so let's turn it off for the moment and then maybe come back in a bit once